I thought I was just lonely, but one night changed everything. When my husband drifted away, I took matters into my own hands, and what I discovered was so much more than pleasure. This is my story of rediscovery, passion, and silent sparks that no one saw coming. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment. I never imagined I'd be telling this story. It all started one summer evening in Chicago when everything in my life felt like it was slowly unraveling. My name's Heather, and I've been married to Eric for 7 years. We were once the kind of couple others envied. Late-night drives, wine on the balcony, spontaneous weekend getaways. But lately we'd become distant. He'd come home tired, distracted, and rarely looked me in the eye. I kept brushing it off, thinking it was just a phase. That night, I lit candles in our bedroom. I had planned it all, a soft playlist, new silk sheets, and a burgundy nightgown he used to love. I missed the closeness, the way his hands once made my skin feel alive. I wanted to bring that spark back. But as he lay beside me, his phone still buzzing with work emails, I could feel the space between us grow even more. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He looked at me and smiled wearily. "Sure, babe. Just a long day. Maybe tomorrow." Tomorrow. It had become his favorite word lately. I turned away, trying not to let the tears fall. I was starving for connection, not just physically, but emotionally too. It wasn't about intimacy alone. It was about being seen, touched, wanted. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, my fingers tracing the soft curves of my own skin, remembering what desire used to feel like. It started as an attempt to find comfort, but I found something else, laughter. I laughed softly to myself, not out of joy, but out of disbelief that I, once the flame in our marriage, now felt invisible. I decided to take care of myself in the only way I could. It wasn't desperate, it was empowering. I explored the parts of me I had forgotten. I remembered where I was sensitive, where a touch could send waves of pleasure across my body. It wasn't about release as much as it was about rediscovery. My fingers danced over my skin, tracing memories and rewriting my story, alone under the soft flicker of candlelight. I felt alive, and for the first time in a long while I smiled. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. Not ashamed, strong. I wasn't going to keep waiting for Eric to notice me. That weekend, I signed up for a painting class in a nearby art studio. It was something I'd wanted to do for years. Eric barely noticed when I mentioned it. "Cool," he mumbled, eyes glued to his screen. The studio was a world of color and quiet magic. That's where I met Mason. He was one of the instructors, tall, with ocean blue eyes and paint-stained fingers that moved with a kind of calm confidence. He noticed me, not in a way that was obvious or wrong, but in the way that mattered. When he adjusted my brush grip, his fingers lingered just long enough to send a chill up my spine. "You have a steady hand," he said, his voice low and rich. "That's rare. Most beginners are too afraid to move freely." I smiled, blushing slightly. Maybe I've just been holding back for too long. He tilted his head. Then maybe it's time to let go. There was something dangerous about that moment, though no rules were broken. He treated me like I mattered, like I was more than a woman someone used to desire. That night, as I painted and Mason gently guided me, I felt something stir inside me. It wasn't lust exactly. It was liberation. Over the next few weeks, I attended every class. Mason and I talked between brushstrokes about art, life, passions. He never crossed a line, but there was heat in the air when we were close, a kind of wordless pull. It made me realize how long I'd gone without being truly seen. One evening, a thunderstorm rolled over the city. The power flickered in the studio, and the class dwindled early. I stayed behind, finishing a piece I'd started. Mason joined me, lighting a few battery-operated lanterns. "This one's different," he said, pointing to my canvas. There's more fire in it. I think I'm finally painting for me, I replied. We stood there, close but not touching. I could hear the rain hammering the windows, the storm mirroring the one inside me. Do you ever feel, I asked softly, like you're living someone else's life? He looked at me for a long moment. Only when I'm not doing what I love. I nodded, suddenly aware of how near we were. My breath caught as his fingers brushed a strand of hair from my face. A simple gesture, but it sent electricity through me. Heather. He began, but stopped himself. You deserve to feel alive. Don't forget that. I didn't kiss him. He didn't pull me into his arms. But the energy between us was undeniable. It wasn't about cheating or betrayal. It was about remembering that I was still a woman who could feel, want, and crave joy. I went home that night, dripping wet from the storm, but warm with the memory of him. Eric was asleep. I peeled off my wet clothes, wrapped myself in a towel, and walked past the mirror. I stopped. For the first time in ages, I saw beauty. My own. That night, my hands explored again. But this time, it wasn't about filling a void. It was about honoring my body, my soul. The memories of Mason's words, his eyes, his soft encouragement filled me. I let my fingers paint across my skin like a canvas, remembering the way he made me feel, worthy, seen, strong. In the days that followed, I didn't stop painting. I didn't stop living. I didn't need to depend on Eric for joy. I took control of my happiness. I started dancing again in the living room, taking long baths with rose oil, wearing dresses that made me feel radiant. I touched my skin, not out of loneliness, but out of self-love. I laughed louder. I smiled longer. Eric began to notice. You seem different lately, he said one morning, sipping his coffee. I am, I said, and I meant it. We talked, really talked. For the first time in months, he listened. I didn't tell him about Mason, because it wasn't about Mason. It was about me. I told him how I felt invisible, how I missed us, how I found myself again by not waiting around for someone else to fix what was broken inside me. He held my hand, apologized, promised to try. Maybe we would rebuild. Maybe we wouldn't. But I had rediscovered something sacred, my own power. I didn't need to be touched to be alive. I just needed to remember how to feel. So yes, when my husband failed, I did the work with my fingers. And surprisingly, it wasn't just fun. It was freedom. And it changed everything.